Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I hear that. Okay. Um, anyway, just a quick update. The Aikido school in San Francisco that's connected to our division lost its lease. They'll probably relocate somewhere, but one of the trends is that in big cities, rents get out of control. All right, for places like this. But here we have our own space. We're going the other way. So we need to kind of take advantage of it. Okay. And before everybody's knees wear out, we're going to bow in. Okay. All right. Aí, onegaishimasu. Okay. Let's see. We are going to start filming a little bit again. We did that in Mountain View and okay. But what I'd like you, Chen, say, we're on our way to this. Okay. We're going to do a movement. But on the way, we're on our way to this. Okay. But on our way there, I'm captured by the weight of the situation. I'm going through a thought process of what to do. But on the way there may be something I'm missing. Okay. So let's just start out with the seated. What we're doing here, we're the grip, we're taught to extend. On the other hand, I'm on the way there. I'm on the way there. Boom. There's a freedom to being on your way to somewhere, whereas when I'm there, I'm locked into some sort of pattern. So let's experiment with what it's like to be on our way. So, okay, all right. So start out slow. We're on our way. Let's go. Yeah. This. Let's see if any can. Yeah, there's maybe one more coming. Ah, oh boy, it's very, very. That's insane. One of the things, it's like by the time I'm in a situation, I've sort of thought about it and I've tried to, but on my way there, I'm free if I appreciate it. That's where energy hangs out. Okay, over here. That's where I'm most creative. Right. So it's just a game. In other words, you're here to learn movements, but it's almost like if we could take advantage of that process, right about here, and then there's already something going on here. But by the time I get there, and I'm ready to go, and I'm locked into this system. That's always there, even in the situation. Maybe by being freer and more creative on my way somewhere, I can bring that into the situation. So here, I'm working on a little bit is instead of trying to move him, we're just going to move energy. To move energy, I must move my energy, and then of course his energy. And my energy we're learning how to connect the two. All right. So, if the energy goes down, okay, energy rises, energy kind of operates center, all right, circle, or both ways. Get waves and spirals. In some sense, you probably won't do that if you're just here. You see what I mean? You just play around a bit, and like Einstein, okay? Okay. And unless all you do is video games, on your way to school, you're free to think. Yeah, I like boom, right? Now, once you're in school, you're in class listening to this stuff, but on your way. So free it up, free it up. That's where You can think for yourself. You don't have to listen to somebody else telling you how it works or whatever it is. Go on your way. And you see, they're even easier. Yes. And you start to find yourself a lot of times on your way to somewhere because when you're there, you're locked into who you're supposed to be, right? If you're coming in this direct. Okay, good, 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 good. Like, oh, what else I found here? All right, boom. Okay. And oh, look what else is over here. All right. So right about here. Oh, we got that motion too. Right. So if I kind of in this particular way, what else do we have here? Oh, we got this one. Oh, we got this one. Boom. A lot of variations here. Okay, so I'll take this one. Boom, boom. Right. What I'm finding is energy. You see what I mean? And by the time I get there, I'm worried about the technique and the weight and everything. Okay, good, 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 good. After a while, I think, okay, it's here too. But so when I'm on the way somewhere, that's where a lot of the creative ideas for people come. By the time I'm there, I'm kind of locked into some thought patterns that kind of create maybe stuff that keeps me kind of trapped. Okay, all right, good, all right. So one of the things we're kind of just up for a second, stretch the legs, right? Okay, I'm on my way somewhere. Not there yet. Once I'm there, the situation locks me into a pattern. But on the way there, I'm free. I'm not there yet. Okay. On his way to a Nobel Prize, Mr. Einstein hung out at the patent office. There's no pressure on him to be brilliant there. So he was. Eventually, the Nobel Prize came, but we say, well, I don't want to work in the patent office. I don't want to do menial this or that. But sometimes it's just like it depends on who you are. Okay. For example, she's going to come in this way. I'm on my way there. But what about? Okay. What about? What if on my way there's something that I dismiss? Because I'm free. I'm free to kind of spin off into whatever. I'm free to be paranoid. I'm free to be a lot of things. So just I'm free to be easy with myself and things. And one of my thoughts a little bit, say a lot of discoveries come when you're on the way. Okay. He's going to come in here and I'm on my way to this. But there's also maybe something else that we're on the way to. Oh, just like, I'm on my way there. Oh, yeah, he's coming. Oh, good, good. And so we're sometimes our best stuff. And then when we get there, we're too afraid to kind of go into it because, well, I don't. All right. Yeah. I mean, Einstein's first paper, basically, I think it was special relativity, was totally without, it was like it just stood on itself. He just laid it out. He didn't say, I got this idea because Newton said this and that. He just said, okay. And people read it and go, this is brilliant. Some patent clerk writes for a scientific journal, and everything in there is supposed to, he just laid it out. It isn't like, okay, this must be so because of A, B, C. It's like, okay, this builds on this, builds on this, builds on this. And so on his way to a Nobel Prize, he worked in the patent office and he had free time sometimes between this duty and that duty. So he was in this space of it. All right. So one of the things, let's say he's coming in and then we go, okay, good. That's neat. He's coming in this way. I'm going to not to block it, but I'm going to deflect it. And here, all right, then I'm going to walk with the hip. I'm on my way there. It's a pretty standard Aikido technique. Okay, sometimes you got to realize, okay, you're on your way somewhere, but don't get stuck there. Don't get stuck in somebody else's idea of you. Okay? So one of the things as he's coming, this looks like a blocking motion. It's a deflecting motion. What is a deflecting motion? You're there. It's easy. If I'm reacting to him, okay? And this allows me to step behind him. And then all of a sudden I lean to move him. No, I find my center here. And he becomes a circle around that center. My hips rotate and counter rotate. That's a pretty standard move. Okay. Now we're going to do that move and then we're going to explore what it's like on the way there. Okay. So let's start out with that one. I mean, one of the things here, see, I see it, I react. All right. It's almost like the situation. Show them a better way. Extended, even gracious. Okay. So change partners is very standard Aikido movement, believe me, and you can get stuck in this rut and get better at it. That's the crazy part. Okay. So let's change partners. The Shomenuchi Irimi Nage. Anyway, do you have any questions or? I mean, this is a class. I don't always teach this way, but today I had. I mean, my partner is going to come, but I couldn't wait another 20 minutes for her to finish her makeup. So she said, "Go without me." So, a lot of life is that way. That's right. You have a pattern, and then it's yeah. In other words, I can't wait another 20 minutes for you to get your makeup on, so I guess I better go. But a lot of things are there, on the way to something. Like a window is open, and by the time we're there, the window closes. And if we're not, the air gets to be a little stale because we're always in it, and then what's out there reinforces us, and we start to reinforce what's out there. And so on the way there, we learn to appreciate there's a freedom. Sorry? A freedom. Yeah. Einstein was free to think whatever he wanted to as long as he worked as a patent clerk. So on his way to a Nobel Prize, he did a menial job, relatively speaking. So not that we're Einstein, but it's fun to play with, that sort of stuff. Do you have any questions? Or?
So basically, introductory.
Well, everybody here has gone a little past the introductory phase. We have a couple of classes. In fact, I can introduce you to the teacher who's doing the intro classes.
Yeah, that's like a 6:15.
Yeah, I think so. Although I have to look at the schedule myself because I don't teach them. Yeah. Okay, that man is could be black belt in karate, but he's on board.
Yes.
So anyway. Yeah. You're already there. What wait to do, Oh, well, your way there. What's there? What's going on your way there? Okay. Just wait. By the time you're there, the situation is usually locking into a certain level of this. And after a while, you enforce the situation by locking into it. And it's, you're already locked. Clear. Okay, good. And one of the things I kind of want to mention, for example, David, okay, this is a pretty standard thing, to go into an Aikido school. It's one of the first things you'll probably learn is this movement, Shomenuchi Irimi Nage. But we're exploring on your way to, because we're already there, on your way to Shomenuchi Irimi Nage. Okay. On your way there, it's about to happen and boom, boom. But on your way there, he's about to do that. A little bit more proactive. Why don't I? There's already an intent. And again, what we're saying a little bit is right about that. What we got to do is get him to raise his hand. It's a reactive thing, okay? Well, unless I'm this way, which means maybe I'm on drugs or something, I'm going to react to that coming. I'm not going to hit him. I just want to get him to raise his hand. Now, the spacing for this is not good because I don't want to run at him and do that because he may come at me a bit like, okay, yes. You're prepared to get off the line and get into that motion. Okay. In fact, like right about here, I got the set position, but I'm on my way to it. Okay. So, okay. Let me discover something about the movement, but also about myself. This whole thing is about self-discovery. And, one of the things is we have these movements, but, if you do something for a long time, anything, you sort of start to kind of fall into a rut with it. And then the worst thing to fall in a rut with is yourself. Right? See, he raises his hand, I raise my hand. Well, I forgot to raise my hand. What happened there? I didn't panic. I just opened up. I'm already reacting. Oh, yeah, I thought I saw somebody behind me. That was a discovery. There's a place where on my way to this, I found something. I found something in the situation, but I also found something in myself. Ah. And one of the things is I'm thinking about the movement and I have theories about it and I've practiced it, but it's almost like that's the situation in my head. And that situation in my head creates a situation in the outer world. And I always do the same thing. Okay. So on my way there, all of a sudden, something happens. So self-discovery oftentimes doesn't happen when you're there. It happens on the way there. You see what I mean? Other than that, we just think the same way, do the same things again and again. And you do it for a couple of decades and it's kind of worn out. And one thing about Ueshiba, you watch him on video, he's really cooking. And he's old, but he's really cooking. Okay. I was watching some videos of Stephen Curry. Compared to us, he's young, but basketball wise, he's old. And watching him kind of play, and he's playing with all of his joy and outrunning younger guys. And it's just amazing to see. So he hasn't gotten there yet. He's still on his way there. And in that way, there's an ascent that's possible because when you're there, there's weight, there's expectation, there's a whole bunch of stuff. So I just want you to, for example, here, there's this. I get a little better at it. There's this. But all of a sudden I thought, oh, what happened here? So we're going to experiment. You're on your way. Not like, okay, I'm creating the situation. I'm already there. Freer, easier, lighter, more imaginative, not just upper imagination, but you're cooking. You're not trapped yet. Once I get to a situation, sometimes the outer circumstances create me to be who I always am when I'm there. But you're not there yet. And there's something possible there that we might take advantage of. So let's change partners. We're doing they attack, we extend. You get better at that. But then all of a sudden, I'm on my way there, and all of a sudden something happens. Oh, what happened here? Okay, so just that opening movement, which you saw, is hopefully I'm doing it better than I think I'm doing it, but I'm on my way. I'm not there yet. Okay, once I'm there, I get trapped by my old ideas and the old patterns there, and I get better at them. That's the scary part. Einstein didn't get better at being a patent clerk, thank goodness. Okay, so Ueshiba was the same way. It's one of his most influential teachers is a man named Takeda, who taught him basically it was jujitsu with ki force behind it, not just technique. But Takeda was very dark, a killer. Ueshiba didn't become like him. On his way to becoming that potentially, he found himself. Okay, so let's change partners, experiment with what we just saw, which is instead of that, there's just motion. Okay, let's go.
Yes.
Okay, now, once you're there, it's a very dangerous world out there, but it's really more dangerous to me when I'm paranoid about it. And I get to throw my blood sugar off by worrying. I get to develop an irregular heartbeat. I get to, my adrenals overfire. So I'm not way there. I'm not there yet. Thank goodness. You see what I mean? There's an area sometimes, I mean, Bruce Lee, what is it? He fought this guy for the right to teach non-Chinese, and he said, no rules. Then he fought one and he realized, oh my God, there's all these rules in my head. What's going on here? So, so he kind of does, huh. So, I mean, he's trained like a demon, but I don't think he ever thought he was there. He was on his way. You know what I mean? He gave him flexibility inside, creativity, right? Right? Well, I can't make it in Hollywood because I'm Oriental, so I might as well go to China and become an international film star. Okay, right? He's a lot of things on his way somewhere. In fact, he checked out before he saw how big he got. But that's another matter. Yeah, yeah, that's important. A lot of times our real discovery comes when we're on our way. Because once we're there, we get locked into patterns and we can't get out of them because we're surrounded by a situation that is built on, the stuff are there. But on your way there, you're kind of free. You see what I mean? So we're playing the game. We're not there yet. We're on this. Okay? Right. Right there, for example. The first part's good. Easy. This is good. Lose that. No, it's just a different way of looking at it, because those sensei said something like the first thing you must do is the only thing to stand on the floating bridge of heaven. What do you mean? Well, Does that mean that when you're under attack, you're supposed to think about this mythical bridge? In a way, what it is a little bit is your thoughts create what you're in yourself in it. So at some point, if you're thinking about the floating bridge of heaven, then you're in a place nobody else is thinking about, right? As opposed to what did he mean? Huh? You know what I mean? So I mean, it makes some sense that way, because in some sense, the floating bridge of heaven, we create our own reality with our a reaction to what's going on, and then we create ourselves within that reality. Oftentimes, then we get bitter. I mean, human way of looking at it is that, you know, Donald Trump is a billionaire, the most powerful man in the world, and he's empty and full of fear.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's messing things up for the rest of us, yes. But on the other hand, what else could he be doing? You know, as opposed to being a misogynist, um, psychopathic, sociopathic, narcissistic, pain in the butt.
Mm.
And if we go there too much, we get trapped in a cage. We're easy with it. We haven't created Donald Trump yet. Okay. And let him rot his own juices. Easiness. Yeah. Okay. So one of the things, if he's coming to, so yeah. The time I'm here, on my way to Nikio. On my way to Nikio. What's this? And I'm sure over here. What else is up there? And if he's coming in this direction, then okay, we look at them. What's going on the way there? If I look at our sensei, he's on his way somewhere. He's free.
Mm.
And he's realized that that's the place to be. You see what I mean? It goes, I'm there. I'm the first doshu. No, he's never referred to as doshu, is it? But after him and after him and after him, yeah, they're all doshu. There will be a new doshu. But but he's not doshu, right? He's free. Yeah, by the time you're doshu, it's really too bad because you're kind of like in a very important position. I'm glad that the person who's doshu is doshu, to be honest with you. And I think his son's probably going to be fine too. But there's an area where if you want to be that, no.
That's the ultimate level.
Yeah, I know. But there are probably other ultimate levels. Right. Anyway. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. So you're on your way. Because once you get there, you're in a situation which creates you. And you create yourself in that situation. The thing is, you can get better. But you're on your way. And again, since they kind of talked about the floating bridge of heaven, and one theory I have is that he understood the freedom of being on his way. He didn't say go to the dojo and do Swati Waza Ikkyo at 6:30 in the morning, which I did for a certain amount of my training. Of course, that's good too. That's good too. You put in your time, you learn the movements. But you're on your way. And that's oftentimes where you find discovery. That's where big fancy term transformation can happen because you begin to kind of feel there's something going on when I'm on my way somewhere. Once I'm there, I'm locked into old patterns. So transformation oftentimes happens when you start to identify the freedom, the creativity that's there when you're on your way somewhere. Once you're there, you're oftentimes weighted down, I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do that, da 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 da. Okay? And so when you're there, there's all this weight, but you're not there yet. You can breathe. It's not that you want your mind to wander, it's just that your mind opens up. So your thoughts are vibrations. But most of the time we think the same stuff and they're dense and they're reactive. So on your way there, your thoughts might be different. Therefore, their vibrational frequency might be different. And that different vibrational frequency may call in levels of what we call energy that are not visible when we're locked into patterns and habitual thought that's the same way. So if you're thinking about the floating bridge of heaven, chances are you're not in a normal pattern. And I use normal not in a good way. You're still here. Okay. But, on the other hand, uh, there's a weight that certain things produce, and they produce more of that weight. And the floating bridge of heaven, it's not just an idea, it's a vibration. And sometimes you won't catch it when you're there because the thoughts are too heavy and they keep reinforcing each other. Right? So, what we're saying a little bit right here, easy there. Even in a situation, it's not to say you're not in the situation, but you vibe differently. People bring you in because you have creative thought, as opposed to everybody hammering on each other, okay? And arguing this and that and this and everything. You're easy there. Problem with you two people is you think you have all the answers. It's like when you're on your way somewhere, you don't have all the answers. You let the answers kind of unfold through you. Okay, so oftentimes people that are good problem solvers, they're not experts. They're just more open and creative than the people who keep following their same ideas and clashing with people that are ideas opposed to them. And then Aikido is supposed to look at this. There's harmony here, but you can't see it when you're in this camp or that camp. So you're easy with it. Your thoughts are vibrations. Most of our thoughts tend to be heavy and create the reality we're in. And you kind of want to be able to say, there's a potential for the world which is much greater than is being realized. So easy there. And let's see. David, come on. Okay, now, we're on our way somewhere. I'm there already. I'm on my way there. There's space. Now, right about here, so maybe all I got to do is get him to raise his hand. I don't have to attack him, but he's coming at me. He's a little closer. Boom, boom, boom. I'm moving. So now what we're doing is we're playing with intercepting the intent of the attack, which is energy. There's intent on Uke's part, but instead of waiting for Uke to dictate the action, and we react to it, or even occasionally finding accidents that appear kind of cool, we become more of a motive force in the situation. You see what I mean? The distance here, for example, is not so good because I'm not going to run at him and hit him. But what it is a little bit is if he's coming at me, I've got this one. But the next exchange, boom, all I got to do is get him to raise his hand. And as he's getting up, why don't we be right there? He's getting up, we're right there. Yes. So we're going to play around with intercepting the intent of the attacker. By the time there's a war, you're invested in winning it. So it's better to prevent the war, right? This could get very nasty. So let's come up with a better solution. If you haven't noticed, the leaders of the world not doing very well on that front. So since they created Aikido, so it's not that we're going to run a government, but at least we kind of see more clearly how situations in the world escalate and are reactive. And what we're working on here, we're in it, but we're not of it. We can practice being on the way there, which means we're developing, we're growing, we're transforming. Those are big words. But all of a sudden, our thoughts, which are vibrations that create reality, start to vibrate at a different level, affecting, of course, our mind creates your body. So your body gets freer. You see solutions. You're proactive as opposed to reactive. Those are very good things. Okay? So, see if he comes charging at me, if he's like, boom, I can still get him to raise his hands. He comes charging at me again, boom. Yeah. Right? As opposed to, okay, it's a football player running at me, or that's like, boom, I can just, you know. They wear helmets for a reason. But in this case, it's not a football situation. They're going to raise their hand. All right. All right. It may look different than what we're doing it, but proactive. All you got to do, come on in here, just raise your hand. Just, okay. No, okay. Yeah. All right. Anyway, not that I don't want to do that, but okay. So let's change partners again. Just to the more proactive phase. Okay. Yeah. This is a little vaguer, but you know, she's about to come out. Yourself. Yeah. It's not even that. It's like, okay, second thing. Do it. Hello. Almost casually. You see what I mean? There's a little too much like, yeah, because since I had a number of, I had karate experience. In fact, I took a brown belt test. And a man named Takuboda was I was in his organization, and I wasn't studying directly with him. And he looked at the brown belt test, and my local teacher, he said, "We got to start training this guy to be a teacher." And this guy says, we called him Shihan, so he really liked things like, there's somebody that was like, I went like that. And he said, that Urazuki there, that was fun. There were a couple of like songs on tests, right? And it was, that he said that was the best piece of body in the whole day. And guess what I did? I quit. Because I didn't want to waste their time. I didn't want to be a karate teacher. Karate was fun, because I couldn't do Aikido every day, right? So, there's an area right there where I thought, this stuff is fun, but on the other hand, that's not, if I'm a teacher, I don't want to be a teacher of that for various reasons, right?
Mhm.
Because, mainly I was influenced by Shiba, the founder and this stuff and everything. But yeah, there's an area where, no, not for me, right? I even got offered a full PhD, because one of my professors in grad school liked my work. And then instead I went back to Japan because not for me. There's a point where no, it's crazy, that way. But you know, if you're coming at me in some point, no, I'm going to be a little proactive. Right? In other words, you're going to make a move on me. I say, okay, good. I'm not, in some sense, trying to get her. Okay, good. In fact, the more casual it is, the easier it is. If I'm going to come, boom, 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 I will get you. You see what I mean? There's something kind of in your own consciousness that responds to it. If I'm drilling at you, you know what to do, and it starts to ignite certain reactions in you. I don't want to face a karate person.
Right.
You see what I mean? I don't want to create that. All right. And maybe I've done it and kind of got pounded in that. But I'm not very there. I'm going to create a different scenario. Okay. 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 One of the things that we're kind of looking at here, okay, is spacing is important. For example, there's a little bit of distance right there. This isn't effective. But your energy field is out there. You're still proactive. You see what I mean? Don't run around putting your hand in people's faces. That's not what this is about. You see what I mean? Yeah. I had a couple of friends, and the guy was kind of nuts. And he kept on trying to do this to his girlfriend to see whether he can get her to raise her hand. And all it did was create arguments. I thought, yeah, I can understand why there are probably vast issues in that relationship. You know what I mean? Because it's not what it's about. Okay. There's Maui, there's a distance here. But even here, see, my attention's on her. So I'm reactive. Now I'm just kind of a space cadet here. She's got a clear shot at me. I don't mean that one. You're there in a way that's more inclusive. In some sense, if there's an issue there, you're kind of issue here. Okay, good, 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 good. You're proactively present, waiting for somebody to maybe ask a question. Nado Sensei, big regret is that Ueshiba, the founder, had this little pointer stick that he always carried around. And sometimes on the mat, it would be a bokken, and then sometimes he'd use it as a staff, or you just have it, he held it a lot. And Nado Sensei said, Jack, I think he was waiting for me to ask for the stick so I could take it home. And, I'd have kind of this energy that was associated with him. But I was too afraid to ask. And that's been one of his big regrets for 60 years. Because, we're at the point where you're holding something that has a lot of vibrational power and enlightenment, and I hold this, I'm a different person, that sort of thing. And then after a while, you can put it down and you're a different person. Okay. So there's something, thoughts are vibrational forces. It's just most of our thoughts are reactive. They're reactive against really dense things. So when Osensei said, the first thing you must do, in fact, if it's the only thing you ever do, is to stand on the floating bridge of heaven. And so, that's a big one. But if our thoughts are vibrational forces, if we get out of this real dense, reactive thought pattern that creates things the way they are, we're standing in a freer, more creative space where we see things differently, our behavior's different. And And that's when we're on our way. Okay? And so, for example, here, if she's coming at me, then okay, then we're going to, your energy is out there. But, when you see somebody about to attack you this way, I don't think it works that way. I think somebody is already sort of in your space somewhat, and you're kind of, so right in that particular one. All right. And then when you're there are several things like, boom, and then there's an opening here. Right? Or conversely, I go here and there's an opening here. So one of the things is, what is that? When you're on your way somewhere and you're free, there's no set. So you're not thinking about old patterns, unless of course you're trapped. You're already in that situation on your way to it. And that gets to be a drag. Okay. That's when your job starts to really grate on you, or you start to be, oh my God, I got to go home and my relationship is this way and everything like that. So all of a sudden we can't escape it. Right. So one of the things is our consciousness. Way a man named Edgar Casey put it, your mind is your builder. In other words, your thoughts create the structure of your reality. And one of the things we're working on, see, well, already by being a certain way, I've created a subject object thing. Okay? So, boom. But right about here, I set to do something. She comes in underneath it. Boom. So it's very important. And then right here, I think I'm arrived. And I used to get punched and I used to get elbowed a lot. The person that used to teach this was Hikizuchi sensei. And one time he put his elbow right in my teeth. I thought, thank God he didn't knock my teeth out. It's just that well, and so what was he trying to teach? Well, I'm looking at the subject to object and I'm trying to do the movement. I'm carrying old thoughts and ideas right here, and there's no set. Come on in, good, safe place. She wants to stomp on my foot. Well, position where I'm safe, and my intention with her is a safe intention. I'm not going to choke her out or rip her to pieces there. Okay. There's potential there, but there's an area where that's not something that we do much. Okay. Now the situation right there's space. Now I'm going to run at her, trying to get her to raise her hand. It doesn't work that way. She's going to come at me. Then okay, good. We have other things there. So you are not inflexible. I'm doing this right now. You adapt as the situation changes. Okay? The Warriors won last night. They've been horrible. Why? Because they're waiting for Curry to put his cape on. All of a sudden, he can't do that. He's out for a week, maybe more. They finally realized that they had to be able to, he was kind of like a parent that was doing everything for all his kids. The kids finally said, we're supposed to play too. Right? See, those are patterns. If you get too dependent on somebody or something, it tends to work against you at a certain point. And so when you're on your way somewhere, oftentimes you have a perspective. I have a friend who worked in the police force for a number of years. He's retired now and he's teaching Aikido in Santa Cruz. And he says, Jack, the blessing there, I'm in a patrol car, a lot of time to reassess stuff, to really think things through. So on his way to whatever it is he had to as a cop, he was using the time well, wasn't he? Yeah. So right here, there's a little bit more, right? But right about here, I can be a little proactive. In other words, the situation is about to happen. Okay, good. There's how I'm in motion, but I don't want to set this way. There she comes. Boom, boom, boom. We're free. And you can get so good at the movement that you can't see the forest for the trees. That's why Sensei said, the first thing you must do, if it's the only thing you ever do, is to stand on the floating bridge of heaven. And, there's many different interpretations of that, just in terms of alchemical formulas and everything. But one thing, you're free. You're not reactive. You're inclusive. To some degree, you are proactive in a way where you're building, not winning. Victory is when you co-create. That's what on the way means. Okay? The Superman movie. Lex Luthor's, horribly afraid of Superman. He thinks somehow all these horrible scenarios, and Superman says, no, I'm as human as you. I mean, I can fly, I can lift battleships and everything like that, but that aside, I wake up, I put one foot in front of the other, I make mistakes a lot. I'm human. And you're trying to make me into some monster, and I'm not. You're the monster right here because you're creating me to be a monster. I'm not a monster, right? And so, in that way, he has a very good sense of himself. He's like, I'm a god. No, I'm somebody with abilities, and I rescue squirrels that nobody else pays attention to because I value all life, and I try to be here. And even when I find out my parents were screwed up from Krypton, I define myself with my own values. Okay? So in that way, proactive. We create ourselves. In that creation, oftentimes we best do that when we're on our way somewhere. Because when I'm burdened with a lot of thoughts reacting to the situation around me, I can't be creative. I'm reactive, not proactive. Therefore, I cannot be creative. But right about here, for example, that once you stay right where you are, you can have an intent right here. Okay, in other words, this is kind of like the edge of it. If I'm already here, this is very dangerous. So this is when you act. But on the other hand, I'm right about here, and says, boom, then, whoops, sorry. So it's a creative thing. You're taught the ability, you teach yourself, really, I can help you out a little bit. You are, in some sense, discriminating between this is a little too far. Now, the bad thing about this culture, projectile weapons. Well, Sensei, according to the crazy history, he dodged bullets. We're not that good. Okay, but apparently he had this to such a degree that, flash of light, bullet. If I just move, flash of light, the bullet follows. All right, suppose, a flash of light. He had a certain amount of intelligence. Something's coming, boom. And so we're not at that level, but on the other hand, this practice is to awaken us somewhat. And what was it? He wasn't there to dodge bullets. He was there trying to hang out with Deguchi Sensei, teaching world peace to people who didn't want to hear anything about it. Hence the bullets. He was on his way somewhere. But he was probably more open than most people to what's possible when he was on his way somewhere. And so we do techniques, but what we're really trying to do is to get you to be on your way to the technique. It's new. It's in the moment. You're new along with it. Nothing special. We put one foot in front of the other. We're just like Clark Kent. We mess up a lot, have arguments with Lois. So, we don't do the faster than speeding bullet stuff, but, I think you get the message right there. There's a power that we have when we can access this, and it's not a domination power. It's really more sensitivity, more creativity. Things are lighter. We're not a finished product. We don't want to be. We're constantly in a state of evolution and growth. And we're working towards things that where Shiva valued, like love, harmony, peace. And there's a power issue. It works through power. No power, no harmony, no love, really. Love without power is not is pretty boring. The ability to love and power is important, but it's not power as control. Okay. So anyway, let's continue. I just tried to give you a flavor for the distancing factor, which is important. Okay. Same partner. Yeah. Get some weapons. Yeah. Yeah. Got a couple of extras. I don't know. Anyway, we got weapons in a couple of minutes. Yeah. I think we're okay. How many people were there yesterday? It seemed like it was pretty soon. Okay, so it's getting towards 10. We're so kind of weak on the evenings, you know. And then we're starting to get, I think Harry gets like 10 people on Thursdays.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I remember that was the day he used the keys. So I said Tuesdays. So anyway, but we'll see.
Dinner, Sonny.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, yeah. Nice to see Barbara. I texted Julie. She said she'll be back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's just it's like most people. Her life is kind of nuts right now.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's it. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I was kind of worried about it, but no, I'll be back.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, like be proactive. It's like yeah, I hope she's okay.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, by the way, last night I talked to Arnold Sensei.
Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, he seemed like he was like in a beautiful place, but I don't think his health is very good. Yeah, he was in the hospital for a while. He's at home. And Linda's been talking to him, every week. He said he invited me in on FaceTime and everything. But he was like beaming. I'm saying, Jack, you look like a comedy. I'm like, really? So, yeah, keep going, keep going. Yeah. 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 Okay. All right. So we're going to do weapons for the last 30 minutes. I think there are people that brought their own. If you want your own, what we're doing the last 30 minutes of Sunday, we're doing some weapons. So we have I bought a couple of extras. So get one if you can. If not, we'll figure out what to do. Okay. Let's see, we got a couple of extras.
Yeah.
In fact, we got 1, 2, 3. Okay. Just simple bow. Hey, onegaishimasu. Take a deep breath. See, breathing is, when you're on your way to something, guess what? You're still breathing, aren't you? But we're not breathing. We're kind of caught up in thought and whatever it is, maybe afraid of what's going to happen when we're there. So easy then. Feel your breath. And then you're on your way there. You're not there yet. Okay? Calmer, clearer, hopefully. And we're not so tied up in knots that things like imagination, which Einstein said is more important than knowledge. Yeah. And the other thing you said, I thought was great. Creativity is intelligence having fun. You can have intelligence, but all of a sudden you're doing something that's not fun. Guess what? It's not fun. Your intelligence goes down, right? Anyway, up. Uh, and we are, let's do this. Have a seat because we are filming. Well, you'll be up in just a second. Richard? All right. Okay. Now, a lot of basic movement. Oh, yeah. Mhm. These are actually pretty cool, I think, because which we're not going to do. But yeah. But anyway, basic movement, a thrusting motion. We're not going to do it that way, okay? But as she's coming, we're going to set the intent, okay? I kind of want you to watch this one again. So it's like, I'm going to get her, she's going to get me. But that motion itself is very much like here. Now, what am I doing right here? Who's my psychologist? Proactive. You're not there to get her, but you're also not asleep. And the action here is just to say she's a very dear friend about to do something totally destructive. And I'm going to say, maybe you should not do that. So partially what we're doing right here is an opening motion. Okay. And we're right there pointing out the vulnerability. Do not drive home drunk. Give me the keys. I'll take you home. Okay. That sort of thing. That's more of a protective sense. Okay. So thrust to thrust. Okay. Stir up. Let's go. Yeah. No. Okay. Now, one thing a little further apart. Okay. Yeah. And the other thing is I kind of want you to look at, you're going to go this way because when you go that way, you're going to hit her in the face. So with me, yeah, I know. Move my speed just for a little bit. Move my speed. Move my speed. Now, what I want you to do as she's coming in, move my speed. 15. Yeah, but it's not, what I want you to see right here is, it's on my way. All right. In other words, you're cool there. All right. It's a tinderbox. And if there's a spark, everything blows up. You don't want to do that. You want to be the one to say, okay, give me all the matches here. All right. And we'll do something better with them, right? Like light a campfire. Okay. All right. Okay. Now, reactive. Boom. Now we're making contact here, but it's not. Boom. Now, better to be proactive. See what I mean? On your way there, You're not facing the spear point yet. You're easy. Go again. Now, right there, it's still starts. It's already going on. Better, calmer, easier. You're on your way. You're not there yet. And you're free to make mistakes because you're not there yet. And so guess what? You don't make them. Better. Okay? Uh,
Yeah.
easy here.
Nice.
Feel that?
Uh-huh.
Subject object. On your way there, you're free. You're not there yet. The situation hasn't caused you to think dense thoughts and run around and create denser thoughts and denser. You're not in that spiral yet.
Hmm.
So take advantage of it.
I said that.
Okay? Barbara, wide angle lens. What? You haven't done this yet. The one thing Robert Koga told me was that, in terms of reaction time, peripherally, you're coming in this direction. So right here, I'm very reactive. But right about here, okay, good. Boom, boom, boom. Hi. You see, one of the things about the honey is you feel me that I'm trapped already. See how see what that means? Wide angle lens, one way of looking at it. Okay, so when you catch yourself doing that, take a breath, let everything expand, which means you're already in that board meeting that you're dreading. Not there yet. And because you're not there yet, there may be some creative thoughts that come in to help you. Right? So, in that way, Okay, right? Better, better. See, instead of the arm, in the face, if he's coming in this direction, it's like, okay. If you're coming in this direction, it's like, okay, good. So we're using this instead of that. It's the same thing, right? Or if you're going to come in this direction, good. If you're coming in this direction, right about here, so go over here. Boom. There are movements that are possible here. Well, you're free. But then you go like this, you're giving a situation weight. It might be very serious, but when I'm too caught up in it, I'm caught up in the weight of the situation, I can't do anything but reactive behavior. And so one of the things, when you're facing bullets coming at you, what are those things they do? Somehow you're just crazy enough to saw flashes of light, and you made the connection that the bullets follow. And if you're too worried about getting shot, you're not going to do that. You see what I mean? I don't ever want to have to do that at all, right? I hope nobody, has to deal with crazy junk like that. But there's an area if you're worried about it, you become magnets for it. You say so in a lot of ways. Yeah, be very concerned, but on the other hand, don't obsess over it, right? Okay, but be easy there. Okay. Thanks. Yeah, that's good. Even easier. Even easier. Okay. Okay, good. All right. Steve, this kind of like been one-handed, but but now we're moving the other way. Come on. All right. In other words, we've been left forward. Now we're moving into a right forward position. Older style, boom, obviously. Not necessarily a throw. But what I kind of want you to look at a bit, I'm in the situation, I'm reactive, and I'm on my way there. I haven't given it weight yet. But if I give something weight, see, something may be very important. But when I give it weight, I'm reacting to it. Okay? I mean, one of the things right now, we have Donald Trump. People either love him or they hate him. And if they do either, he wins. Yeah. Easy there. So it's kind of, for me, it's training. Because that's a word. You think that person's name, and all of a sudden, all these thoughts starts, and they're usually around anger, judgment, which are very heavy emotional thoughts. Open. Now here I try to put my weight here, but easy. Maybe if I don't give this weight, I'm going to cross step here. We have a movement. Now it's really the same movement that we're doing on the other side, because here, see where we're moving here? We could do the same thing. Same thing. But let's move the other way. So I'm going to move to my right. Easy here. Come on in. Cross. Older style. I'm holding this. It's a weapons taking movement. Okay? And yes, it's a serious situation. But when things get too serious, you got to ease up. Because I'm tying myself in knots. Okay? The Warriors have been total crap lately. And they're facing a horrible team without Curry. And the basic thing was, put your cape on and save us. Well, guess what? He's out right now. And after about a quarter of aimless movement, they kind of found, and we don't want to fight, but there's an area where your thoughts are creative forces. And there's what we call emotional content, the way Bruce Lee put it. By the time you're in anger, you're done. It's too heavy. But it's almost like when you start to give your thoughts emotional content, there's a light that comes through them. Boss, boom. Okay. We got to move. Yeah, what play acting is very serious. I think a lot of things out there are too serious. But let's approach them from a creative place. A better level of us, less reactive. Oh, the other one, may get to that one, but what we're doing is just simple touch, cross. Old Timmy strike turned into a coaching nowadays. Okay, let's keep the same partner. Yeah, What are we doing? I think we're okay. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Okay, hold. If you hold, uh, you're on your way there. Doesn't mean they can't function. They could probably function better because they're not reacting. Okay. That's a thought. These thoughts have creative power, which the creative is reactive and dense. Easy if it's coming in this direction or we got a bigger version of it. All of a sudden, look what we're doing. When you're in your wasting, well, that's where all your creative stuff happens. Right? Dense thought comes in because in a dense world that we're reactive in. Easy. Our thoughts have creative power, so we might as well realize that and start. Our thoughts start to go into different directions than being reactive. And my thought right now is on my way somewhere. Right? That's where my good ideas come from. Not when I'm okay. Now we got to do this, right? Right? Yeah. Anyway,
I think
yeah. Okay, now it works better the other way. Okay, so if you're, for example, here, yes, it still works. Okay, but going in from the right side, or here, but we're doing this one here. Okay, so what you're doing complicates matter. Okay, now, if it's coming in this direction, I might just, then all of a sudden, we got this function. But what I think that's really hard is that, we create all this weight in the world, right? But what we don't realize is that a lot of the weight is from our own way of thinking. And so, what we're saying right on your way there, what you'll find, for example, is right about here. There's other things you can do. Right? Other moves. But when we're working right now, it's kind of over here, and then we go this way. Okay? And so what I want you to do is it's a right-sided motion. If you come at me this way, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sidestep. I'm a little too far, so I do the cross step. Boom, boom, and then, okay? So it's not long. It's just that, what I want you to do is differentiate right from left. Now, what you're doing, there are other things to do. It's coming in the other way, then they go over here. That's another move. After a while, you realize, Lars, and when you're on your way somewhere, all these stuff that you are making way too heavy start to open up for you. You see? So what you're doing is actually is good because it's forming different sides. But I want you to get back to the pattern. Okay. Okay. So one of the things we maybe we don't realize is our thoughts have power. And most of the time what happens are our thoughts are in all this heavy realm reacting to what's going on out there. So in those sense, they said, the first thing you must do, if it's the only thing you ever do, is stand on the floating bridge of heaven. Guess what? That's not a thought most of us would have. And maybe in that particular space, what he's really saying is your thoughts have power. The floating bridge is a place where your thoughts are clear. Our thoughts create our body. Your mind creates your body. So you're looser, freer. Your consciousness is less subject object, oppositionalist, more inclusive. We're more creative there when we're not reacting to what's going on. Okay? So I know it's a pretty deep statement. You can look at it from other angles. Fire and water, he's working alchemy. Yes, he probably is. I don't understand alchemy, so it's really easier for me to kind of say something on your way somewhere. There are energies and forces, which your thoughts are. We manifest through our thoughts. And what we normally manifest is this reality that sometimes you feel trapped in, right? And so the ability to just simply open, let go. If you look for it, it's still there. But when we're locked in it, we give up a lot of creative power, right? I mean, I wish I could lift buildings like Superman. I can't, right? The last time I looked, I doubt I could dodge bullets. But, that aside, there's a certain amount of abilities that we give away because we are just in this dense world, keeping this world alive with dense thoughts that are reactive. So part of the Aikido is your mind creates your body. So as the mind frees up, your thoughts that are creative forces start to create a different level of you body-wise. And that also extends somewhat to the situation we're in. Now, right now, I'm creating this point where I'm in this horrible constrictive posture, thinking about how my knees are ache. So, it's one of those things that's kind of crazy, but the Japanese do it, so we have to do it. So, yeah, there's certain that. I mean, that's true. It's Japanese art. So we do somewhat of it. Okay. Let's see. Sit easy. Take the pressure off your knees. There's really no magic to seiza, except that's the thought. Well, I gotta sit seiza and whatever. Yeah, but easier here. Steve. Yeah. Now, for example, if he's coming in this direction, there's probably other things we can do. Yeah. Some of that, for example, you would look at. I would hit that one for me. All right, so you get to move this way, and it's a heavier, denser. Okay, so there's a certain area where you don't want to get too airy fairy with things, but sometimes it's good to experiment this with because you know, by the time I get here and I feel his weight and I'm reacting, it's already there's energy here. There's energy. Guess what? We're energy. Aikido, guess what? We're ki. Right? It takes ki to harmonize with ki. Okay? And to give me my and certain movements, for example, like right here, we go this way, and some of these movements are just things I came up with. I'm between classes on my way to class. This is coming in this direction. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. Creativity. All right. Now he's injured right now. But within a competitive form, I've never really seen anybody that creative on a basketball court than Curry. Why? It's very serious. I mean, it's a basketball game. You got to win it right. But he plays with joy. He wouldn't be anywhere near as good if he didn't understand that. He got so pissed off once because one of the Warrior younger guys took a three that he was supposed to take, that he threw his mouthpiece and got kicked out of the game. And then on the way, the guy who took the shot actually won the game with a shot. And so they showed a thing where in the Curry was just hugging him after the game. He wasn't like, you screwball, you're supposed to give the ball to me. It's like, no, yeah, I'm glad you won the game, but you took a shot that I was supposed to take and you missed. So, next time, an area where there's an inclusiveness there. If he's coming in this direction, then we have this angle already. Boom, 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 boom. There's no throw there, but maybe we do this one instead. Moving from station to station to station there. And, all I'm trying to do is let it unfold. I'm not there yet. Okay. And, I'm there. I'll be this. I'll be, I'll be an enlightened Buddhist master, something like that. No, I'm not there. And there's a humility there. And then what you kind of, the actual sense of it, the Japanese term is yorokobi. It's joy. I talked last night with Ano Sensei, who's spent some weeks in the hospital. Doesn't look good, unfortunately. But he's home now. He's doing better. And Linda Holiday Sensei put me on a FaceTime thing with him. He was just beaming. He was just like, absolute Jack, you look like a kami. I went, I do. Jack, you look like an enlightened person. I am. All this stuff I was going, but it was kind of contagious, because he was in such joy. And, you can be so serious that you cut yourself off from your birthright. And, one of the reasons Curry is so successful is he understands that. He works his butt off doing all these exercises and conditioning, but he plays with joy. And so, where do you find that? You find that on your way there. And therefore, he has it in a game. And the game for most people is too serious. You got to win. You got to da 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 da. And he cultivates it. Has a good family life. He's, you know, and so the training right about here. We're going to come this way. We can go this way. We can go this way. Oh, we can go this way. You're free. Yeah, we have techniques which we're not going to lose. But today I just thought we kind of examine it from a different viewpoint. Okay, that's good. Okay, yes. Okay, well, thank you. All right. Anyway, we're going to bow out. So. Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, they're. There's. Okay.
Oh, there it is.